It is difficult to dissect the everyman poetry personified that is Matthew McConaughey. Perhaps it'd be better just let it wash over us, but we are going to try. Joining us right now is Academy Award-winning actor, New York Times bestselling author of Green Lights, and founder of the Just Keep Living Foundation, and a man that is winning in the polls to be the next governor of Texas, even though he hasn't even said he's running. Matthew McConaughey, thank you so much for being here.
Andrew Fisher of Men, looking forward to it.
There is so much to talk about, and I'm going to pander to you for a second, but it actually happens to be the truth, which is I read your book, or I should actually better say I listened to your book with my family, and I got little kids who probably shouldn't have been listening to certain parts of it because they still like to mention certain parts that you know about. And I didn't know what to expect when we read this. This is probably a year ago now. We actually listened to it in a car ride, but we went on a journey with you. And when it was over, I have since told people it is possibly the best audiobook I've ever listened to in my whole life. And so I just want to thank you for that, because in my family, we all talk about you now. It's a crazy thing.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for listening. I hope I didn't open up too many questions that you're not ready to answer for your kids, whatever their young ages were.
The boys were under 10 then, so you know what we're talking about. But where I want to go is this. Somehow, you are resonating with people. This book is resonating with people, and something is happening. And I wanted just to start by trying to get you to reflect on what you think that is.
I'm looking into it myself. What is it that I shared that was an incredibly personal story? It's my story, but how did it resonate? How did it touch the pulse, and why of some part of humanity? I mean, I've asked people the same question. I've heard, oh, well, look, I see my stories in yours, Matthew. I see myself in you. Oh, you helped me to forgive certain things and to say, hey, the buck stops here, and other things. You helped me to feel like times when I was down and maybe felt like I was paralyzed in victimhood to go, no, I'm going to get back up. You spoke to my angel and you spoke to my devil, and you said it was okay to listen to both. And that's a human thing to listen to both. So without being specific, it's I will say this. I put the book out at a time when I think the world was looking for some good news about humanity in general. Not that the world's all full of bad news, but the book is good news. And it does have some aspiration and some hope to it that I believe and hope is tangible.
Are you surprised, by the way, at the reaction? But not just the reaction in terms of people liking it, but in terms of how much they like you and how much, I mean, we're now talking about politics all of a sudden and the role that you could play.
So, yeah, I guess I was somewhat, overall, consider myself a likable person, likable man. I think when I came out, whatever sort of currency I had as a celebrity coming in, I do think that there are people that looked at the book and had an expectation of what a celebrity memoir might be. And then when they listened to it or read it, they said, oh, that was not my expectations at all. It did not meet them. Hopefully it exceeded them in some ways. I think people have always seen me as an authentic man. I think you get to see some more of that authenticity. I think also people have had a thought of me that like, oh, you know what? McConaughey just wakes up in the morning, rolls out of bed and kind of goes about his day and knocks it out of the park, or whatever it is. Rolls out, tell me what the scene is. I'll do it. No, and you see in the book that, oh, McConaughey steps in the you-know-what a lot himself. I think there's some humor to see in how I've told my stories of my own failures. And so it was a look behind the curtain of my life, but I don't know, there's a musicality to it that I think people are telling me they find as well. That it doesn't, it's like, people have told me it's like you're feeding me broccoli. I know it's good for me, but it tastes good. And I think that's a way right now in a time when people don't want to be told what to do, don't want to be legislated on what to do. I think what some people are getting from my book is saying, hey, it's choice. We got choices. It's not an obligation. It's up to us. And I talk about those invisible obligations we make with ourselves that start with us looking in the mirror and saying, no one else is policing those but us. No one's going to know we got away with them, or followed through on them, or broke those rules that we made with ourselves but us. And those are worth policing on ourselves.
Matthew,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
going
that's
to
part
tell
of
you
it.
though what I think it may be. I think it's this confidence, and I want to understand it because I will say, even having now read the book, I've now also physically read the book in terms of also listening to it. There's this Zen-like confidence about you that I will say, even to this day, feeling like I now know you, I still don't think I understand where it comes from.
Huh. Okay. Look, confidence is so important. I'm not always as confident as I may appear. Um, I get frustrated. I struggle. I go through my own bouts of sense of lack of significance. I'm addicted sometimes to accomplishment to get my confidence. Um, and in those times, I think when I am not as confident is usually when I'm a little bit more spiritually barren, meaning when I get consumed with mortal rewards, mortal failures hurt me more, mortal successes rise me up more into a false confidence, which they really are. When I'm more spiritually sound, I'm seeing the infinite game. I'm thinking about this life is one little run for me in the blip of history, and I'll be gone. What am I leaving behind? So when I started thinking about the infinite game, the bigger picture, the immortal rewards, being if you're a believer of a heaven or something else, or the immortal rewards of after we're gone, what do we leave for the next generation or my children? I get extremely confident and clear. And my ego is married to service and thoughtfulness. And the selfish idea for me happens to be what would be the most selfless idea, and vice versa. I'm not objectifying people or the world or judging them as harshly and as arrogantly as I can do sometimes when I'm less confident. I think if that explains it, that's where that comes from when I'm on my frequency.
But is there no insecurity? And the reason I ask is there's a moment in the book, and it's really a moment in your career, where you say, look, I got to get out of the rom-com game. I don't want to be in this business anymore. And you tell your agent, don't accept these things. And I'll turn down millions and millions of dollars, and I'm just going to wait it out. And I was struck by that. I was struck by the confidence and what seemed like, at least by all appearances, no second guessing.
No. Well, did I break a sweat with that idea? You damn right I did. Did I get a little wobbly in that 2-year hiatus from Hollywood when I said no more rom-coms? You damn right I did. Did I have a look over there at the bottle of whatever my favorite spirit was? And were there days when I didn't have work for months at a time where that bottle started to look maybe a little, maybe it looks pretty good to get earlier in the day? Sure. Did I battle with significance and lack of self-significance? Sure, I did. But there were no second guessing because I shook hands with that choice from a very sound mental and spiritual place when I made it. And I knew, if you listen to the Australian story, I've already learned the value of endurance and sacrifice in many different ways in my life. I knew it was going to get hard. So I called the shot, and Camilla, my wife, and I said, this is going to be tough, man. We don't know how long we're not going to have any work. But I never second guessed. I was never going back. When I make, sometimes we make the decision in our sound mind and heart, and we go, look, I'm going to get out there in the field of life and I'm going to question this decision. The world's going to question it. And know that the truth we crossed when we made the decision was sound and timeless and classic, and stick to it. So we can, whatever happens, we'll win by endurance. Now, look, did I think about taking up other vocations in my life? Did I think I may have written a one-way ticket to Hollywood out of Hollywood? Yeah, I thought about that. That was a reality. And I started thinking about other things to do as a career choice. But second guessing, no.
There's also something I wanted to ask you about, because now that you've bared your soul in this book, and by the way, now are on the national stage, if not political stage, how do you think that may change your ability to be an actor in the future?
Great question. Great question. Look, if I was to go into politics, there's a lot of things I do in my life and have done that's off the board. How? Because I am a storyteller. I am an artist. I am an actor. The question goes two ways. If I was to go into something, a category, somewhat like politics, can you still go be an artist in that? It's a great art. Can you really pull it off? Can you be a great storyteller? America needs a new narrative. I think we can all agree on that. We need to be reminded of our original lyrics of our folk song and write the new lyrics that we're writing and agree on those as well as we're going forward. So we need the storyteller. Can I be an artist? I love free speech. I love words, my use of them. The way I poeticize and philosophize, is that the category? Is politics a category where that's even useful, or is it too oblique? I'm not, as I said, I'm not as much for obligations as I am for opportunities. I'm not as much for legislation as I am for choice. Well, does that transfer to politics where you've got to administer? You're the CEO. So those are questions I've got and going both ways. So if I went into politics, would I still be able to be the artist that I am? Would I still be able to create? It would have to become, that would be the great art. Now there is a great art out here of the art right now, the great picture, the narrative to be told is how are we going to come back together and find a common denominator of values amongst ourselves, whatever political party or church you do or don't go to. That story, who can write that story and set up that vision and have people choose to chase that? That'll be the master storyteller. Now, I don't know, is that in politics? Can that be done? Is that the right lane to get that done? I'm not sure, maybe.
You're asking the question. I'll also ask you to answer it.
It's not, I don't know, Andrew. I do not know yet. I'll say this, as far as politics, I'll say this. So are you going, Matthew? I said, I'm not until I am. And when I say these words like I'm measuring it, I don't mean I'm going around polling the state or country and saying, hey, what do you think? I'm not doing that. I'm trying to study what politics is, what democracy is and can be. Where have we got off track? Where is there ways to get back on track? And asking myself, how can I be most useful to the most amount of people, but also to my family and to myself? I'm solid with the earned currency I've gotten to this point. I'm not resting on my laurels, but I'm also not going to be a damn fool and just spend it unwisely. Can I be more useful in another category than politics? That's something I'm questioning. Am I more useful already? Can I be in the lane that I'm already in? Question.
Okay, well, I got one for you. You have been a self-proclaimed mama's boy, and I'm curious whether she wants you to run for office.
My mother. You know, if I make a choice to say I want to run, she'll, in a matter of a half a second, be like, go get him. If I make a choice to say, no, I'm not going to run for any political office, she'll, in a matter of a split second, go, smart man, smart son, I raised you right. She'll know I'm convicted, whatever choice, and she'll be behind it 100%. You know, she would also, look, I learned from her. She's 90 years young, so spry in mind and heart and body, because she's chosen the path of most resistance through her life. And I mean, when I write about it in the book, is a great outlaw. So, you know, she like myself, and I have that in my blood. My greatest successes and pleasures and joys in my life have come from when I chose the right resistance. Not the foolish resistance, not looking for trouble, not looking for something to be hard, but chose the right resistances or the right chaoses to try and make order of. Scary ones. And I'm still into scaring myself with choosing the right resistances going forward. So look, risk, you read my book, you listened to it. Risk has been one of my greatest rewards, the risk I've taken and the ones that I've failed at doing. So it's not something is it an idea, politics, that I'm scared of? Sure. Am I afraid of it? No. Would I have a whole lot to learn? Yes.
When do you think you're going to figure this out? And you know, there's a lot of people who say, look, this is just one big tease. This is just a tease. And by the way, when people tease that they're going to go into politics, everybody hangs on every last word they say until they say that they're out.
Sure. Tease. Well, if I'm teasing it, then I'm before I'm teasing y'all, I'm teasing myself, because trust me, I'm spending a good amount of time deliberating and really working my mind, heart, and spirit on the questions and asking myself the hard questions. And trust me, is it fun to do this? Not always. It's a very conscientious headspace for me to be in. It's a very earnest headspace for me to be in. It's a privileged position. It's a position that it has a sacredity to it that needs to be shined, that needs to have reverence to it for damn good reason. And that's part of my question. Is that do we have the reverence for it? Do the people in the place of those positions giving us a reason to have reverence for it as much as they should be today? That's part of my question. It's not as much about what is politics? What does it become?
Are you surprised Are you surprised at where you poll? I mean, you are ahead of Governor Abbott, and you haven't even declared you're doing anything except thinking about it.
Two things I would say as far as my awareness goes on that. One, we talked about earlier, people pretty much know generally. I think I have a high sense of trust. I think people believe they can trust me in a certain sense of authenticity that you're going to inherently get with the currency I've already earned. Now, the other side of that is we always, the unknown, the newcomer, we always want that just because it's unknown. Anybody, I mean, I haven't come out and stated a long list of here's where I stand on this position, here's where I stand on this position, here's where I stand on that position. If and once I do that, there's gonna be an obvious split. All right, some are gonna go, yes, he's our guy. Others are gonna go, oh, I thought he was my guy, but he's not anymore. And they would see how there will be choices that I would be considered left on. There would be choices in places I land where I would be considered right on. That's why I've also been leaning on this very centrist. I think our country, state needs to be aggressively centric now. It's a daring place to go. It's a radical move right now.
Do you think you can do that?
It's really a relational position to the left and the right.
Do you think you can do it in one of those parties, or you think it's got to be a third party? I mean, this is. It's a
good question. It's a good question. You know, one side of the coin would be, oh, you got to do the beauty contest. You got to go with one of the big two. With that comes a lot of, for me, there'd be some constraints, either side. You know, then you go to you open up the idea of a third party. Interesting. Okay, you're coming in as an underdog. That's for damn sure. Can you redefine what a third party would be? What because libertarian has, you know, got its head over the surface a few times, but it hadn't come all the way through. I mean, who was the last independent? Like George Washington, he was. But I mean, so you know, I don't know. I don't know. If anything. If it was both parties, I would work outside of their typical steadfast lead pipe cinch places they stand.
Let me ask you about a couple of issues, even though I know you're still trying to figure out where you are on maybe the whole of it. Mm-hmm. But for example, vaccine mandates. Yeah. I think I know.
Man, here we go. So let me tell you where I've been on this. Number one, early on, and so I don't even want to call them people of which side of the party. But early on, as this whole thing got politicized, the mask.
Right.
I said it before. The mask word, I thought that should have been a quick and easy mandate. It's a mask. It's not the vaccine. It's a mask. No harm proven, and we only can prove that it can be healthy. It's a small inconvenience for a possible long-term freedom. Everybody, let's pay the tithe, put one on. We're trying to figure this out as we go. The science is changing as we go. Now you got vaccine mandates. Well, look here. One day we're gonna see who was exaggerating, because as this thing got politicized, both sides, you could feel them both start to exaggerate. One side of the left was trying to raise up every number and anyone that died with a common cold. They said, blame it on COVID, raise the numbers. The other side saying, no, none of this would have happened. COVID's not getting anybody. Now, We're 9 weeks into college football in America. We just had Wimbledon. We just had the English Premier Cup over in England. Well, I was sitting there going, these are super spreader events. I can't believe we're doing it. Doomsday's coming. So far,
Right.
12 weeks later, those don't seem to be super spreader events. So now the question really does not even seem as much, are you vaccinated? Because I think we're living in a pandemic world for the rest of the time now. Me and my friend talked about this. It's really a testing issue. If I'm going to be there and sit there and talk to you today in person, you PCR test first, I'll PCR test. We both clear, come negative, come on in. We can even shake hands, maybe even hug and sit down and talk without a mask. Now, a vaccinated person can spread it just as well as an unvaccinated person. But there is some proof that if you're vaccinated and you get COVID, your symptoms won't be as harsh. But you can spread it just as well.
Okay,
so this is a moving target.
I'll make it more complicated. Kids. Senator Ted Cruz, your own state, was giving Big Bird a hard time on this issue.
Yeah, I know it. I know.
So you see that and you think what?
Look, Andrew, here I am. I see that two ways. Look. He just said we can vaccinate kids. Are we gonna, do we need to trust? Do I want to trust in the science? Do I think that there's any kind of scam or conspiracy theory? Hell no, I don't. No, I don't think there's any kind of, we all got to get off that narrative. There's not a conspiracy theory on the vaccines. These are scientists trying to do the right thing. And then people say, yeah, but the big pharma's making the money. Well, they can, fine. That's as well, if that's true. Okay. It's scary. Right now, I'm not vaccinated mine. I'll tell you that.
You're not.
I'm not vaccinating mine. I want to get some more. I've been vaccinated. My wife has been vaccinated. We have a high-risk person in our household, my mother, who's 90, and she's immune compromised.
So why don't you want your kids to be vaccinated?
We go slow on vaccinations anyway, even before COVID. Now, mind you, we've quarantined harder than any of our friends have and still are 2 years later. I don't want to, maybe I'm trying to just keep it from my mom, okay? So we've been doing just a heavy amount of testing, went in everywhere we can. We even take the ones with us out of the box where we can do them in our house, everywhere we can with anybody we come in contact with. Try to do things outdoors. I'm in a position though, where I can do that. And I understand that not everyone can do that.
Right.
I couldn't mandate having to vaccinate the younger kids. I still want to find out more information. There's going to come a time though, and there has already in these last 2 years, obviously, there'll come a time where you're going to have to roll the dice one way or the other and go, where are the numbers in my favor? Right. I'm vaccinated, wife's vaccinated, didn't do it because someone told me I had to, chose to do it. Mom's vaccinated 3 times, still has not created any antibodies for it. She's the one I'm really trying to protect. We're over here just trying to live as healthy of a lifestyle as possible, but I couldn't mandate it for kids just yet, no.
Okay, different question. Abortion laws in Texas and maybe more broadly.
Well, look, this question's been up there for ages. We go back and forth and all over the place on defining when fetus is a life, and is it okay to take life, and power of the body, right to choose. The last abortion law in Texas feels overly aggressive to me. It doesn't seem to open up any room for a sensible choice to be made at the right time. I believe it's 6 weeks, which you're not even sure. Again, I've got some opinions on this. I'm not going to share with you right now because I'll split. Someone will go, I believe in this. I believe in this more responsibility, more personal responsibility to make the right choices. And we got to take context with with each situation and each person's situation, each woman's situation. You hear about someone who gets raped. That's not a woman's choice. That's not a place. It's not a place to say, oh, you need to bring that child into this world. I don't believe. Abortion's one of those places where we're asked as humans to play God.
Right.
And that's not necessarily our responsibility and our place to take and be the judge and jury on that. Like the death penalty as well. You're asking us to play God. I don't. So I'm a believer in choice and in rehabilitation. Those things take context though, because you have to look at us, and we have repeat offenders, and there's validity to, hey, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You can't sit there and let somebody who doesn't want reconciliation, who's not really working and doing whatever they can to make the best choices in their life. If they're not going to do that, you're foolish to keep giving them chances after chance. Now, I believe in personal choices, personal responsibility. I also believe it's the government's place to provide a path, a more clear path to achieve that aspiration. The American dream, I mean, that's an illusion to so many. And should it be? How can that not become an illusion again?
Well, let me ask you about the American dream, because the other big issue across this whole country is taxes. People are talking about wealth taxes. Yeah. People are talking about Elon Musk, who's a local now with you in Austin.
Yeah.
Put a poll on Twitter just saying, should I sell 10% of my company so that I can pay the taxes?
Saying that was going to.
And now he says he's going to do it. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we all, as Americans, have a tithe to pay. I think we could all agree on that. Where we disagree is, well, wait a minute. If I'm giving you my tithe, maybe I don't like where you're spending it. Maybe I don't like how you're disseminating it across the people and across the country. And I understand people that go, no, I want lower taxes. I work to make this money. Why do I need to share this with somebody? And they would say that maybe didn't work as hard or to get in the position that I did. So, but we all got to pay it. I think we have to pay a tithe. And you also, let's talk about this, a larger scope question. It seems in the past 2 years, we really brought to the surface that the private sector, businesses, CEOs, individuals have more power for change and to create change in society than we ever have. Part of that's been some distrust in government. Part of that's been some sort of ineptitude that you see from government. But boy, the private sector and business for change right now, the choice by businesses, not the government told tithe you have to take, but the choice by businesses and individuals to make progressive change. When I say progressive, I mean think change in the name of progress, not just saying yes to everything, but conscious change. So when businesses say, look, I'm doing it myself, when individuals say, look, I tithe myself on my own proverbial Sunday to the things I want to give to, I understand that position. And if more people did that, then I'd really be for let's lower taxes.
You think companies have too much power these days? And I'm thinking, by the way, also of social media. You talk about things that have divided this country.
Do I think companies have too much power?
The reason I ask is you see companies now obviously get involved in voting rights in America. Yeah. You saw companies get involved in Texas with this abortion law. We had Tim Cook here from Apple who's gotten involved. And by the way, there are politicians, including people like Marco Rubio and others, who said, you know what? Business shouldn't be doing that. That's not the role of business, and even described them as being hypocritical because then they're doing business in China at the same time.
Well, let the water line lay where it may. I mean, it's sort of like saying I shouldn't have a political point of view because I'm a celebrity, and every sports star shouldn't have one. Say it. What are we listening to? That's the bigger question when you bring up social media. Well, who are we listening to? And you would also say, okay, government, do a better job at that. So you're the choice instead of the business, instead of me following what they do. I don't think you can say businesses do they have more power now? Yes. Damn right. Now, what would they do with that? Look, You want the power. It's obvious. It's not new. Everyone knows it. Chase the money. That's where the decisions are being made. Let's admit that in this capitalist society we live in. And then they got the power, use it. Now choose to listen to them and follow that creed or not. But can they challenge? And do they have the right to challenge and offer an alternative route than the government does? Sure they do. Now, can they do that within? And then so much of this now, when you look at the companies that have the power to almost create, I like to call it, create the new Eden in front of us, the new world order, how we're going to work forward. Trust factor so damn low.
Right.
And do the people in power, do those CEOs, do those businesses, do they need regulations? Sure, they need regulations. We all need bumpers. Society needs bumpers. Even the CEOs need the bumpers. But can they move forward and offer choices that are productive and constructive for society? And just, geez, because they could screw a lot of people over if they want to, heavily, if they become tyrants. I just hope we don't. It's part of the hierarchy, you know. If we have tyrants at the top, you got to watch. You got to have that left to watch the tyrannical people at the top.
Do you think they're tyrannical though? And I'll ask you specifically about tech, because I think they're in the crosshairs right now.
No, I don't think they're tyrannical. I do think this. And I won't say who I talked to, but I've had this talk with some people that are one of the people that are in the position to create this new future, okay, this new Eden or whatever we're going to call it. And I say, going forward, since you have the strings and you're doing the puppeteering, do you import any values into this? And you know what the answer was? The answer scared the hell out of me. The algorithm will tell us. Now, hang on a second. That's when we start to get tooled by our tools. I understand data. I understand the value of information. I understand all that. But we have to give ourselves as humans a little more credit. We got to be selling ourselves that we're making the choice. We created the tools. Don't let AI start tooling us. Don't let just the algorithm tell us where we should go. There's great value in all this data and science, but there's also virtues, values, and ethics.
I'm a social media addict. Are you?
No.
No? You're not. Are you on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter? I mean, I know you're on Twitter.
I have my handles, but I don't dive into the constant dialogue on purpose, because I will start to enjoy it, and I would do it, and I would become consumed about it, and I would love it, and I would get competitive with it, and all those other things. I got 3 kids, mother, a job, aspirations. I love to write. I got real life stuff I need to handle daily that I don't want to find another hobby that I'm gonna enjoy that much.
Okay, I got a couple quick more questions. One, and this one might be hard actually. COP26 is happening right now. This is the climate change conference in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Oil, energy. It's happening in Texas in a big way. What do you do?
Seems to me that we do 2 things, or 2 general things. We've talked about decreasing emissions. And then I'm also very interested in what my friend Mark Benioff talks about we got to plant more trees, contain more carbon. So it seems to be those are 2 things. The deforestation, that's a great thing to agree on. We've been kind of bastardizing the forest for quite some time. You know, the amount of emissions. I would really also like to say, we have a small petri dish for case study to do over the last year and a half, where we obviously were putting out less emissions with people not traveling, et cetera. Let's bring some data forward. Can we make that clear? If that'd be actually the best sell to the people who maybe don't believe in climate change. Show what this last year and a half, what worked? Did we make a dent? Did we get a fresh start?
Would you try to reduce drilling or fracking or other things in Texas? You think?
I don't know. I don't know to go into that. Speaking of Texas, I'm talking about just worldwide.
Right.
I mean, again, does drilling need regulations? Absolutely. Does it still come down to when culturally, much socially acceptable about what we do daily? Those are the choices that's the army. That's how you make a huge difference.
Different question for you. It's a different kind of mining, though. Are you a crypto guy? I saw that your brother might be.
My brother Rooster?
Yep.
I haven't talked to him about crypto. There's a couple of things I'm dabbling with crypto.
Yeah. Do you own Bitcoin?
Not right now.
Not right now? Does that mean that you owned it at one point and you sold it?
I'm not telling.
You're not. Come on. It sounds like you had it at some. Does that mean you think it's overpriced? What's the take here?
Yeah, I'm not the guy you want to know my opinion on Bitcoin or whether it's overpriced or underpriced. Look, it's been around now where it sure is for those of us that are in the beginner to intermediate stages of understanding it. Seems like it's sticking around for longer than I thought it would.
Okay. We almost got to wrap up, but I do have to ask you about. It's probably one of the most favorite things you've ever said, and it practically made me cry when you did it. This was at the University of Houston a couple years ago. You talked about the difference between joy and happiness.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for the audience that may not have seen you say that, what do you think the difference is?
This is a good one to talk about because it really feeds to an overall larger approach and process of living that I purchase and try to adhere to as much as I can daily, which is we need to start overseeing instead of underseeing, upselling ourselves and each other than underselling, delayed gratification, make investments for long-term ROI, not just for our bank accounts, but for our soul's account. Chasing yet. We're never getting there. There's not a destination in this life. There's no ta-da moment. Oh, I did it. I'm completely happy. Happiness is something we purport as a destination. Oh, if I could just attain it. It's not attainable. Joy is a verb. It's the doing, the process, the joy in the doing, the process of the doing what we're naturally gifted to do. The joy of living. Someone wrote me the other day, you look for the meaning of life, then you realize, oh, life's meaning. Yeah, not a destination. So happiness is something we put out there. Like we think if I can just get it, I've got it and I can hang on to it. I can put a lock on it and I'll never lose it. Bullshit. Every peak we mount, everyone who's got to the top of those peaks, you don't get there and look out and go, oh, I did it. There's nothing but flat frontier in front of me. No, there's a million other peaks. And so joy is the process of trying to climb our own peaks, our daily goals, our accomplishments, trying to pull things off with ourselves, with our family, our health, our careers, our jobs, our relationships, the joy in the doing. Now, if you chase joy, if you enjoy instead of chasing happiness, then when you fall and you fail, it's not doomsday. It's not over. You go, yep, part of it. And you hop back up, persist or pivot, carry on, part of life. Get 8 seconds on this bull ride we're all on. But if you're chasing only happiness, you'll never be satisfied. You won't get there. Joy, process of the doing. That's as good as it gets.
Matthew, I want to thank you for this conversation. I hope that your father would say that we hit a lick here. It feels like we kind of did during this conversation.
Right, Andrew, I think we hit a lick. I hope so. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope viewers out there do too. Thank y'all for spending time.
You want to say your favorite line to play us out?
On the way out, first 3 words I ever said in film, 3 affirmations of the 3 things I did have. And when I say them or anyone else does, it always makes whatever you're going to do a little bit more fun, a little bit more cool. Because it's not okay. It's all right. Just keep living.
Matthew McConaughey, thank you so very much for joining us. Okay, so we have a little bit of an addendum to that last interview with Matthew McConaughey. We got a call from one of Matthew's people who was a bit concerned, I think Matthew was concerned, about some of the comments he'd made about his kids and vaccines. And Matthew wanted to clarify that he wasn't referring to the vaccine for children ages 12 and up. He was referring to the new authorization that went in place on Monday for those 5 to 11. And he said he's going to think a lot more about the information as it becomes available. So we wanted to tell you that, and that's all. All right, all right, all right.